Yeah, you know. Drumming like a mug, drumming like a mug. That's all you gotta say. Give us a story. Story time.
It's not the fault.
Hey, you guys just go on
What'd you learn? What did you learn? What was the thing you're gonna take away most?
How to play bass drum. I like half learned that, so still brain space for something else. Yeah. Alright, who's next?
Down the line.
Yeah, Kevin?
No, I think it should go in line now.
Brian.
Yeah, Brian?
Down the line.
You got the whole thing, you can go next.
There we go.
She can also not go at the same time.
Much like she said, didn't prepare for this at all. Hey, what's up?
How many years you been in here?
It's actually my third year. Last year I didn't do it, unfortunately, because I was doing drum corps instead.
Was that the 1 year?
Yeah. Yeah, it's this. I'm not gonna lie. This drumline is a lot. I think a lot of us can agree that it's a lot more fun. But
He went there.
You're a senior, you can say it.
Oh yeah? Say it.
this is funner than marching band.
We're Facebook Living this and Miller's watching. No, I'm just kidding.
FaceTime Live here.
You used the word funner.
It's a word, I promise.
What are you doing? He's a short English teacher. He's like this.
But yeah, it was. I will say this year has been probably the most fun. More fun.
He's talking to you. Was it funner than other years?
Most fun. Yeah, most fun I've had out of the 3 years. I feel like this year we did a lot. We had, we accomplished a lot. I'm super proud of that. The cymbals, yeah.
Cymbals rock.
Quite the line. I appreciate being in that. It was a lot of fun being in that line. I don't know. I will say that, I don't know, kind of what I've learned is that put your all into everything you do, and that doesn't only apply to this or marching band, it applies to pretty much everything. Just gonna go out there, do 110%, get as much as you can out of everything. I had a breadstick I was gonna drop like a drum mic.
Oh, we ate it.
We're like Zach out and dropping
August, we're glad you're here this year.
I'm glad I can make this season. So I guess my favorite show would have been this year. All of the other previous years beyond comparison, but oh yeah, in case some of, I guess the majority of you don't know, North did have a drum line my freshman year. We sucked.
Be nice.
If he can say that marching band is worse than drumline, then I can say that my drumline was worse than this drumline. Just saying. I had my fun. That's about all I have to say.
That's more than I heard you say all season. Great.
No, not yet.
Danny.
So I want to keep it out light first so I can cry at the end.
I don't want to cry, but I'm probably going to. Oh my god. So anyways, most people walk into band camp on their first day with a general idea of what they want to do. I had no idea what marching band really was. I walked in my first day and I remember I was wearing like some khaki shorts, a white dress shirt, and tanner than this, because I do get tanner than this in the summer, believe it or not, and my signature spiky hair. And I walked up to Harry and Ishman and I said that I wanted to play snare. I didn't know what snare really meant. All I knew is that in middle school you really had two options, mallet and snare, and I did not like mallet. So they took me into the drum room and they said, can you play a diddle? I said, what's a diddle? I was like, that's like the dada mama thing, right? You play two on each hand? No idea. I walked in, I had no idea what the heck I wanted to do, but eventually they said, how would you feel about playing piano? Because I had a piano in my house and I played it about once every 2 months. So, yes, freshman year fall, I was on piano playing synth. It was great.
Thanks for that.
Meet him and Will.
Yeah. So comes winter, they all were telling me about how winter drumline was so much better than marching band. All I knew was I didn't want to play piano again. They decided they were going to put me on bass, and I was like, well, that's cool. What?
Remember that time we had that competition where the electronics weren't working? So even though you weren't making any noise, you played your entire piano part?
No, it was, okay, so we had a drum set player, right? And at the very beginning, he like started us off with like some, yeah, a little beat or whatever. So he wasn't there, and then we found like some really, really bad voice of like stomping and clapping, and I had to sit there on my piano just do. It was bad. It was so bad. Goodness gracious. So anyways, we get back to freshman year now, winter. Everyone was telling me about how it was just going to be so much greater and everything. And I eventually got put on bass. So my very first day I walk in and I was told that I was like going like this, and I was told I was stopped being a ferry floater and I was supposed to bring it in. So that kind of describes a little bit of how freshman year went. Oh, and also, bless his heart, rest in peace, there was a guy named Jerry. Yeah, I remember whenever he first walked in, he walked in with his swagger, and that was like a couple weeks in. I was like, who in the heck is this guy? I was a scared little freshman, don't know about anything. He's like, walks over and he just starts listening to us, and he goes, basses. Make sure you get the Never heard drum talk before. It was my first experience in the drum line.
Oh, there you go.
Is he coming back?
Goodness.
There he is.
That was a really good Jerry. That was a really good
Oh, goodness. So sophomore year, I was on my second season on bass now. I was the only returning bass, so I was the section leader with 1 season of experience, because that's going to go great.
He was a great one, I promise.
Oh, yeah.
So I did the best I could, and I think we ended up having a pretty good bass line. Nothing too eventful happened there. However, my sophomore year, on winter, that's whenever they decided I was going to play the large instrument, the quads. Whenever I first put them on, you don't realize how heavy they are, because for the first 30 minutes, you don't feel anything. And then the second that you feel it, though, you feel everything. My back hurt, my legs hurt. They were like, keep your thing forward. I was like, how do I do that? Like, they want to go this way, I want to go this way. It does not work out too well. So eventually, as you can see, it took me from sophomore to senior year to really be able to get really good at it, but eventually I got there. So once again, junior year was all pretty much just playing quads, getting better. But senior year, I gotta say, this is probably the most fun I've ever had during a, oh, don't make me emotional, goodness. Most fun I've ever had, you know, going marching band, undefeated percussion, felt great. Thanks to all of you guys here. And I gotta say,
And you're welcome.
and then now winter, you know, in the very end, we didn't get the outcome that we wanted. None of us did. Everyone thought we were going to go to finals. Everyone thought that that was going to be our path. But in the very end, I don't think any one of you can say that we did not grow as players. We did not grow as
individuals, and we do not grow as performers during this season. In the very end, no matter if we didn't get the outcome that we wanted, I think the whole entire season of us performing our very best, doing our very best in all these things, winning, having all these awesome experiences, that one final unwanted outcome does not pale in comparison to all of the things that we have learned and how we have really grown.
Come on,
When it comes down to it, guys, oh goodness, come on. Ooh, got this far. When it comes down to it, goodness. I can do it.
Okay, Rain, let's get this over with.
Oh, yeah! Woo! Yeah, sure.
When it comes down to it, and I know it's true because we definitely fight a lot. You guys really are my family, and if we didn't fight, that mean that we didn't care. But in the very end, I know that we all are really a family, because even though when we do fight, I know that we're all going to end up making up, and we're all going to end up being a family once again. So I really want to thank each and every one of you for making this one of the most special seasons I've ever had as a performer, as a senior, as a member of the Drumline. Thank you for being my second family.
Were like, yeah, it's chill, and he had a whole memoir.
He's been working on it 4 years, you know.
As the Boy Scout, the
I was used to it from your.
Obviously, I didn't think about this until just now.
Yeah. I was at your Eagle Court of Honor. I'm cool with this. I know.
Miguel.
You gotta follow that.
Well, oh god, I guess I'll just start where he started. So freshman year, I basically came in around the same place. I had my middle school shirt on, had some really great cargo shorts. I had some Metallica drum set sticks sticking out of one of the pockets right here. And I walked in, it was pretty quiet, but then everybody was by the drum room, and Gary Rudolph, he was a snare player from New Kids. He walked over, he was like, hey, what instrument you want to play? And I was like, I want to play snare. And it was just because, again, everybody just wanted, because it was the thing to do. And like, okay, let's start you out, on bass, it'd be pretty cool. And there's only 3 or 4 of us that joined, because Dan came in after like the first practice. And we all, tried to put it on. And we started playing warm-ups, and then Harry walked over. And he went up to Will, especially. And he was like, oh, what grade are you in? Are you a junior, senior? I was like, I'm a freshman. And he was like,
For those who don't know, Will's mom's here and Gary's parents are here. Mama wife.
Was that Harry was like, boy, you got more hair on your face than I have on my whole body.
Not to mention the fact that Miss Mason mistook Will as you. Me and Will were drumming outside of the drum room one day, like our sophomore year, and she just came up to Will and was like, I want to let you know that me and Sarah are very thankful for all the work that you do for the drum room. and Will just kind of started like.
See? Oh, that's funny.
Right, but yeah. So after that, everybody's praying, happy and stuff, and then started moving people around because we only had like 3 or 4 people who joined. So I was moved on to pit, and I thought that I was like, oh god, this is gonna be so boring. I want to go march and stuff, and then I finally landed on vibe, and I remember it was a pretty fun season. I made up about half of the show because I forgot the music.
Oh, I did the same thing!
I remember the main melody is bum 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 bum, and then made them. But overall, it was a good season. And then winter drumline rolled around, and unfortunately, my parents didn't have enough money to pay for it. And I was kind of like, well, I guess do drama, I guess, which I didn't. And I remember it was just a random day after I got home from school, and I got a call, and it was Ishman, and he was like, hey, so little thing, do you want to go to Dayton for free? I was like, oh,
It was
okay.
not for free. I paid
Okay.
for it. Thank you.
Yeah,
anyways.
you should start.
Your parents paid for it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Was it a funeral? I think?
Yeah, my grandma passed away.
Yeah, her grandma passed, so we had to fill her spot, and he learned the show in like a week.
It was
Yeah, it took me like 3 months.
Yeah, so I went to a practice.
That's why
Everyone was
he's a
like,
music
hey,
fan.
welcome back. I'm so happy to see you. I was like, I haven't seen you in like forever. I talked to Will and a couple other friends about, hey, how competitions go. And they gave me the music, and I was like, okay, paired preview is like in 2 days. Let's do this. I got on my little keyboard, and I was like, ah! So I came to the next practice.
What was that?
I came to the next practice, and I was like, okay, let's play. And I guess just learned the music in like 2 practices. Really nice. And then Dan passed around, and I was like, hey, this is really nice. And all the seniors got up, and there's Dan. I remember he started his off like, he was like,
Dan
meltdown.
Swoboda.
He was like, I started
Dan
off
Swoboda.
senior here. And,
I remember that.
yeah, it was a freshman. And then, I don't know, same thing. And then, I mean, for me, I could say I started off like here. And I probably grew like this much because of my hair. But yeah, all the other years went by. There was an awkward season when I was on bass.
That was fun. That was fun.
It was pretty fun, yeah. But anyways, then we got to this season, and I can honestly say this is the best season I've had overall. Not just because, you know, we got all the medals or we did all the best things. Like, we could have like came in last. I would still have had like as much fun with all these people here, especially all my little pitlings.
Around for like a few years. Yeah. I think Hannah came up with that. Hannah Michaela.
Yeah.
I can see that.
But honestly, like all I could just say is thank you. Not only to all like my friends and like family, basically, but especially to the instructors that's helped me like learn everything. Because I came into high school knowing literally how to play B-flat scale, and I came out like ready for college on scholarships with all that, and it's just kind of hard to think that this is the end for high school. It's yeah, but I won't cry. But men cry.
Thank you for that addition.
It's been a great 4 years, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. It's honestly the best part of my life. So Dan, you up next?
Yeah, Brain. Go Brain.
Brain.
So we'll start from the top. My freshman year at band camp, I played the trumpet. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I kind of quit after the first day of band camp. I didn't do anything that year, actually.
Except ask when Matthew was coming home.
Except basically. And then I can remember because Rain was actually the one who convinced me to do winter drumline, and I played guitar. And I was bad. Really?
Yeah, he played bass guitar in the pit for his freshman bass guitar.
on guitar.
Brazzy was on it, and he didn't really need to, but.
And honestly, I feel like that season here, he was the scariest. Because like the impressions, like he was like throwing trash cans and yelling and stuff. I was like, this dude is crazy. The worst part though was I was a wee little freshman, and at one of the competitions we couldn't get the drum set cart through the door, So we just took it there in pieces, and then Ishmael was just like, hey, boy, sit on this drum kit because it's wiggling around and stuff. And then here he like screams at me. He's like, boy, what you doing on that drum kit? I'm like, that was the most terrifying experience I got.
He cried to his mama about that.
PTSD.
You'll remember whenever he was up on
Post-Curie stress disorder. So then,
Can we talk about the amount of drumsticks that are probably somewhere in the parking lot?
So then I was like, hey Ishman, I don't like this, and can I do something else? And I want to march and stuff. And he was like, well, we don't have any big people to carry the big drum, so you're good to go. But Miller wasn't really having that, so Ishman helped me out there. He's a good negotiator, I guess you can say.
Well, we're talking
So
about
I
What was the
got
name
on
of your
that.
drum?
Yeah, so my drum was named Big Booty Judy. That's when we got the fresh new set of drums. Somebody affectionately named it Big Booty Judy, and it kind of stuck.
that was me.
Don't worry about bottom bass. It's bottom bass, you know. But anyway, so after carrying that for a couple seasons, I always wanted to do quads, but I was like, okay, my back hurts. I'm done with this. So
Your knees.
my knees were getting all swollen. I got tendonitis and stuff, so that wasn't fun. So then I moved to a snare drum, mainly because he could teach me a lot of stuff.
Daddy.
So, I mean, the first lesson Dan gave me when I got with bass drum was like, all right, so when you do rim clicks, you hit the rim as hard as possible. You're actually hitting the rim on the other side of the drum when you're doing rim clicks, is what he told me. And he also told me I was really bad at bass drum, so that was cool.
He told everybody
He still is.
during Maleficea, we had a pretty good bass line. He came in, we were like playing stuff pretty well, and he was like, y'all suck.
He went into us, he said, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Go home. And I was like, okay.
Who was that?
Dan Swoboda.
Dan
Oh.
Swoboda.
He was a jerk.
She's hilarious, but he's a jerk.
No, but
Hilarious when he's talking to other people.
Yeah.
he always wore a hat too. So then I got on bottom bass drum, and then I started taking lessons, and I was really scared. So, which is why I didn't go to Huey first for lessons. So Ishman taught me a thing or two. It was a really big stepping stone in my life when Ishman was like, all right, I can't teach you anything, or you gotta go to the snare guy. And I was like, oh boy. Here he's got a real big personality when you get to know him.
When you get to know him. We're going to be hearing you in the lot tomorrow. I'm just going to listen real quick. Where's Siri? If I hear a scream, I'll know.
But, I mean, I got on the snare drum, and I thought it was cool, but I always was really bad because he's better than me. He's just way better than me. So,
He started taking lessons over
yeah,
there.
so I started taking lessons, and I still am. But what was really weird was all these people going off to drum corps around me, and I was like, that seems cool, but it's a lot of work, and I don't really like doing work. Yeah. So for a while, I was really back and forth about it until DCI finals this year, and we were watching so many of the really cool shows that were going on this year, and I got off that field thinking, okay, I definitely got to do it.
Explain what drum corps is to the freshmen.
Yeah, so DCI is basically, like NFL is to like high school football, what DCI is to marching band. Is a pretty good comparison. It's basically, in marching band, you walk, you play, and then you walk some more, you go home and sleep. In drum corps, you're sprinting and playing at the same time, and
You don't
then
sleep.
you go sleep on a bus.
Well, Dan's sleeping on buses, gym floors, eating meals you don't know what they're made of.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, we do it all.
Best time of my life.
So
Best time of my life.
I got into a pretty a corps with a pretty modest name, I would say, personally.
What are they called?
They're called Legends. You're looking up on YouTube. They're pretty cool.
That's dope.
But my senior year has been my past 2 years really have been just so different. Snare drum has probably been the hardest thing I've ever done, because like you like just the smallest like millimeter change in your hand and you're just completely dirting out the whole line. Like it's like as precise as a razor blade. Like you're either right or you're wrong with snare drum. There's no in between. It's either on or off, and that's always been a really difficult thing for me. I've heard there's been lots of drama along the way, which I try to stay away from because that's not me. I like to listen to it, but I don't like to be a part of it, you know. One of the biggest things I can say though is thank you to the parents. I'll be honest, I don't want to load the trailer. I would have no idea how to load that trailer. And I don't know how I would feed up how many kids this is. I don't even know.
A lot.
Yeah, too many people. Honestly, too. I would just default to going to Taco Bell or something. And being
Have
done
fun.
with it.
Good old T-Bill.
Yeah.
You can walk, right?
But yeah, the senior, it's seeing like people like Pepla, Gary, and this guy going off to drum corps. I was like, oh, I gotta be a part of that too. So now I am. And that's cool. But no, these have been the, like Gary and especially honestly, they've been the people that I've been like aspiring to be. Like seeing him in his first season with SCV was just the coolest thing in the world in my opinion. SCVC. Cadets. And now, hopefully, the next step in my life will be seeing him on the field at Open Finals.
Kicking his butt?
No. Hopefully. All right, I'm done. I'm about to cry. So. I don't want to be off to the side. I want to stay in the middle. Okay, I have a lot to say. I didn't really plan it out, but I kind of have a lot to say. So, I'll show like everybody else did with like the chronological order of my marching band experience. I'm probably gonna sound like I'm bragging a lot, but I think if there's any time for me to brag, now is the. Is that blue?
Oh my God!
Your ring is dumb.
Anyway, so growing up, before I got into high school, I liked music a lot. I listened to it. I played it in middle school. I actually started off on the French horn when I was in 6th grade. Realized it wasn't my thing. I wasn't good at it, and I switched to percussion in 7th grade. But for me, growing up, I was bullied a lot when I was in elementary school, and then I was ignored by pretty much everybody when I was in middle school. I really didn't have any friends, and it got to the point where my life was getting way too stressful. My grades were dropping. I was depressed. My mom remembers me coming home from school every day crying just because I just hated everything. I woke up in the morning and would just stare at my alarm clock going off for 20 minutes with not even enough drive to just turn it off because I didn't really see anything going for me in my life. I was sure I was smart enough, but just the stress of school was making me lose my grades and nobody really talked to me. I spent all my time just at home. I had a cell phone, but I didn't text anybody. I literally asked you at one point to stop paying for it because the only person I ever texted was you. I've never really told people this, but there's this thing, if you take an eraser and you rub it against your skin, it'll give you a burn. I have a few scars on my arm because I was starting to self-harm myself I don't know why, but it was just, I was at that kind of point in my life where I didn't really feel like I belonged anywhere. And the only kind of place where I felt not necessarily joy, but just where my brain just kind of forgot about all that was when I was in middle school band class and I was playing on the snare or on the marimba or something. When I was in a part of the music, that was the only moment in my life where I felt not sad. And it was to the point where everything I did in life just made me more sad, whether it was good or bad. I was always kind of getting more and more depressed. And one of the people I looked up to most in my life growing up was my older cousin. His name is Travis. He played snare when he was in marching band, and I thought it was the coolest thing. He had a real field practice pad. He was doing paradiddles and stuff, and I thought, wow, that's awesome. And I remember thinking, I want to do that too. And when I mentioned marching band to my parents for the first time, they told me, you know, you're in Taekwondo, Boy Scouts, you're taking piano lessons, you have too much going on. The answer is no. And I thought, that sucks, but you know what, whatever. Because at that point, nothing really disappointed me anymore. So I remember going to a jazz band concert when I was in 8th grade. It was because I was also in the jazz band. And I went to a jazz band concert, and I remember Julie actually talked to me after the concert and told me that I should join the marching band. You guys just had a very successful winter drumline season. Focused, just semis for the first time. And I came home and I talked to you guys about it, and all you said was they got that rookie day thing at the beginning of the year. Just go to that, see how it goes. And I went to it, and you were there. You weren't there yet.
Will was there.
Will was there. And we were all trying out for the bass drum, and for some reason I understood what was going on, and I was playing in time-ish, I think. But I got a few warm-ups, and I just came home, and that's all I was doing was practicing the warm-ups. I think Flammade was one of them, Accent Tap, and all I was doing was practicing those warm-ups, and I guess you guys finally decided that you would let me be in marching band, and I remember being really, really happy about that. And then we had the Monday rehearsals going throughout summer, and then got into band camp. I remember band camp my freshman year was like the most fun I'd ever had in my life. But all of us up here remember that I was like always off to myself, never didn't talk to anybody, mainly because I didn't think I was worth it to everybody else, that I was just going to be annoying, and everybody would be just better without me around.
Turned out to be the opposite.
I always went with my lunch and everything and sat in a corner by myself because I didn't find any value in myself. Well, I remember it was a week before the first football game, you approached me saying you wanted to teach me quads, and you wanted me to play quads. And I remember thinking, okay, why not? I was actually a little scared at first because you said, I want you to play quads. And it was a week before our first football game, like our first performance. I thought, there's no way I can learn the whole show on quads in a week. But you were just talking about lessons. So you gave me one quad lesson, and then you said, you learned too quickly. You need to play snare. So
I was at your first lesson when you told him you are the snare. I remember that. First one.
So I moved to snare, and I learned this paradiddle exercise, and I played it, and I remember very distinctly taking a pair of drum set sticks and my real field practice pad and sitting on my bed and playing this 1-2 measure exercise for like 3 hours straight. Because it's the only thing I knew how to do, and just watching myself slowly get quicker at it was the most satisfying feeling in the world. Because up to that point, I didn't really have anything else really going for me. I know. I was watching my grades continuing to get worse. I was watching
Yikes. I'm sorry.
But I didn't really have anything else in my life that I really enjoyed doing, and doing even just this little exercise was the coolest thing to me. And I remember lessons became so awesome. I looked forward to it every week. And for marching band, I remember my freshman year, I played the bass drum, but I ended up being the only freshman on the battery. And again, at that point, I almost felt like I was a mistake the whole season. Like, oh, you would have been better with Will or with Miguel. I mean, look how he's doing.
Oh, damn.
And I mean, you gotta remember the first week of band camp, you weren't even here yet. But then I got moved up to snare for my winter season of my freshman year, and to this day I'm still really the only freshman that's really played snare for Howell. You got close, but you didn't stick with it.
I got a week away from the first competition.
Mm-hmm. But I was just knowing that I kind of broke that barrier and set that record. It made me start to come out of my shell. And for the first time, the people in marching band were actually my friends. They actually wanted to talk to me. They forced me to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
We carried you.
Yeah.
To lunch.
Yeah, we used to carry you everywhere. Like, we would drag you places whenever you tried to sit by yourself during marching band.
Thank you, guys. Really.
And so I started to break out of my shell, and I started to really kind of become obsessed over marching band because at that point in time, it was still the only thing that really mattered to me. My grades raised again. I was getting better grades, and I was happy. For the first time, I was actually feeling actual joy, and it wasn't being clouded by this depression that I used to have. It was actual joy. Then we get to my sophomore year, and I'm playing snare, and we're playing well. And Gary, Will, and Sarah, we're playing well, and again, it was just the most important thing in my life. And all I wanted to do was practice. All I wanted to do was play snare all the time. I started learning licks off by myself, going online, finding sheet music that all these other independent world groups are playing and learning it. Even though I couldn't play it, I would learn it anyway. And it was sophomore year, it got even better for me. But and even right now, I still feel like lingering effects from being ignored and being bullied when I was younger. Every now and again, I get this little spout of depression, and I kind of just have to sit off by myself again and just kind of recuperate. But yeah, so junior year, drummed some more. I remember watching Gary go off to do drum corps, and I looked up to Gary a lot because he was one of the guys that actually wanted to talk to me, and coming in and seeing him play all these fancy notes. I looked up to my cousin Travis so much, and watching Gary be 10 times better than Travis was, I looked up to Gary so much, and I thought he was the coolest guy ever, and he wanted to talk to me. So it really made me feel better about myself. And then I watched him go off and do drum corps, and I remember in 2014, the Blue Devils had a System Blue clinic in Kansas City, Missouri, and I remember watching. I remember somebody just randomly posted a poster in our band room of that camp, and I remember thinking, I want to go do that. And you took me. I went.
And Mrs. Wise went with us, and Will.
He went for bass.
Two snares,
I remember
on bass.
I didn't really know anything about drum corps, but I sat down in front of the Blue Devil snare line and watched them drum, thinking, I can't do that, but I want to. And I want to learn, and I want to be there one day. And later, a few months later that year, the Blue Devils go on to set the world record with a 99.65. And after that point, it was like I was a Blue Devils fan. They were the only exposure I had, and I was so into the activity. That's basically all I wanted to do at that point. Everything in life just came about that. It became about me trying to get there. And so I watched Gary go off and do drum corps. I thought it was the coolest thing. He was like my hero. And then I guess a year ago, a little over a year ago, year and a half ago, it was finally time for me to go audition someplace. And I wanted to try out for this group called Blue Devils B, but I didn't really think I was good enough. So I remember asking you where I should go, and you said I think you could make Crossman. So I went and I auditioned for Crossman. I got a call back, and then I got cut at the second camp. I was really devastated by that because that was the first time I really experienced any kind of failure in this activity. You were there with me, Dad. You came with me. It was a very bad time. But got back home after that camp when I got cut, and I looked at the schedule for DCI to see what groups were still auditioning, and the only group that still hadn't auditioned was Blue Devils B, and I thought, there's no way I'm gonna make it, but might as well go out there and try. And I ended up making it, and I remember thinking to myself, but I remember thinking that I was in for I was in way too deep at that point, My personal self-esteem had rose so much. I felt a lot better about myself. I had some confidence for once. And then I did the Blue Devil B thing over the summer, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but the most rewarding. And I got a little thing from it and a gold medal. And a little trinket. And it's just $2. And then senior year, and I remember coming back from drum corps. I had missed all the band camp. I was really behind, but I was able to learn it all quickly enough. Getting to drum with all of you guys was truly an honor this year. Never before have I had such an understanding of the activity to where I can actually look at people and understand what they're really giving to the group. But when I look at all the people in this room, I've never seen so many people who are so dedicated to what they're doing. Everybody here, not just this winter season, but in the fall season, were so dedicated to being the best they could be. And it was so inspiring for me to come back from drum corps where everybody wanted to be the best they could be, and I come back and I see the exact same thing here. And it was really, really amazing for me to see that. And then this winter season, I can honestly say, I've never been in my 7 seasons of snare drum here. This is the cleanest snare line we've ever had.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh. But it does.
Stick drops.
I mean, who is Brian?
Trinket.
But yeah, so yeah, so that's kind of how it all went down for me. You know, so many times along the way I was doing things right when I didn't think I was possible for it to happen to me, kind of thing. Freshman year, a lot of it was that I was the only freshman to make snare, only freshman in the battery for fall season. I remember playing No Swine. You gave us the exercise called No Swine. And I remember I didn't think I could play it at all until you made us play it, and I was the only one that got it right. I remember those little things like that where I somehow outdid Gary because it's been a real joy these past 4 years, and I went from being the kid that nobody talked to, who went home and spent all of his time just in his room, not talking to anybody, slowly, like losing his mind, to who I am now. And I think it's all because of the people here. Without you guys believing in me from freshman year up through now, I honestly wouldn't be the person I am now, the leader I am now, to where I didn't even have enough confidence to even admit that I was worth it, kind of a thing. And this band program kind of gave me that. It gave me not just friends, but it gave me my confidence. Watching you guys teach me, and well, just you guys teaching me and helping me to become the drummer that I am today is also so important to that, because if you guys wouldn't have given me that skill, I wouldn't have been able to go off to drum corps, and I wouldn't be where I am now.
Oh yeah.
So, I guess I'm at the point where I have to thank all the people that I'm thankful for. So the first person I want to thank really is Brian, because dude, you inspire me so much every day, because I was already on snare drum when you first picked up the drums, and I remember watching you try to understand how to play an 8th note, and you didn't know how.
I was trying to play the first line of accent tap, the one's like it's like the triplet grid one that's in 4/4 or 3 the 4 or 3/4 or whatever.
You're the only one who knows what you're talking
about. Anyway, watching you go from no understanding of how to play the drums at all to right now going off to drum corps 2, and knowing that I got to be a part of that is just such an honor for me. And getting to see you play snare with me this year, dude, I was so happy for it, and I'm so proud of you for everything that you've done. You've inspired me to be better, seeing you grow, and yeah.
And now you guys are going to be kicking each other's butts come
That's for 2
summer.
a.m. whenever no one else is listening.
In opposing drum corps.
Yeah.
The next person or group of people I want to thank are all the seniors that are up here, because again, you guys were the ones when I didn't have any confidence in myself and I didn't enjoy myself. You guys were the ones who forced me to gain confidence, who forced me to make friends. And I wasn't at all happy about that, but looking back at it, I wouldn't have improved at all as a person if it wouldn't have been for all you guys up here. So I'm really thankful that you guys are here with me.
I gotta give you one, man.
The next person I really want to thank is Zach. Because man, you've been, since I was in 6th grade, you've been like my only real friend. When I was in middle school and nobody wanted to talk to me, you were my only real friend. And these past 4 years, you've definitely been my best friend. And I was so inspired by just how much you loved life. That's true though. And watching you just enjoy everything all the time was really inspiring to me, because that's something that I couldn't enjoy. And the fact that you even took the time to get to know me when we were younger meant the world to me in ways that you probably didn't even know at the time. And then watching you go do drum corps, man, I was so proud of you, and I was so like, I don't know, it meant so much to me to see you doing all that. Again, you're just my best friend, dude. The next people to thank. Okay, the next 2 people I want to thank are my parents for putting up with me for the past 4 years and all the drumming that I do at home. It's been a noisy house. Because there's literally nights where I'll just stay up all night drumming. And
it's a loud house.
You can somehow put up with all of it, but my mom always tells me she's my biggest cheerleader, and she definitely is. You know, not only for affording this for me, but just for supporting me. But for supporting me, for making sure that I got the education that I needed from these guys with the private lessons and with everything, with allowing me to be in the first place, saying, well, fine, you can be in it your freshman year kind of thing. I have a lot of this to thank because of you two as well. I couldn't be more happy that you guys are my parents. I want to thank, obviously, all the parents here who load the trailer, get the food for us, make sure we have a hotel to stay in. Obviously, we can work as hard as we can, but if we didn't have our parents here supporting us, we wouldn't have anything. And even though we're a pain to put up with all the time, it's still, and I know I speak on behalf of everyone here. Thank you, parents, for everything that you guys have done, because it's at the root of the activity. I remember going to my Blue Devil audition this past December, and I remember them saying to all the parents at the end, thank you for supporting your kids through this. Even at drum corps, it's the parents are at the foundation, and the parents' support is at the foundation of everything we do. So, thank you guys for all that. I want to thank our amazing instructors over here. Ishman, I remember meeting you for the first day, and I remember being kind of confused playing the bass drum, but I remember you asking me to play a diddle. I didn't know what a diddle was, and you said just get out 2 notes, and I got out 2 notes, and I remember you thinking, wow, you can actually do it. So that was cool. Here, I remember you walking in the first day with your little baby dreadlocks. I remember thinking to myself, 1, why is his hair like that? 2, why is there a second instructor? We already have Ishman. And then 3, I was scared to death of you because you yelled a lot. But and then Megan, I remember meeting you. I actually met you in the fall season. Julie saw you at a competition. I was there with you. So that's kind of how I met you. You've always been really cool. It's really chill person. I remember Ishman, one of the most amazing moments I think I've ever had with you my freshman year on bass drum. I remember it was a week before Mazingos, and I was still looking at my music, and you asked me, do you have this memorized yet? And I said no, and you just took my music away and said full run. And I played the whole show without making a mistake. Here you gave me snare lessons for the past few years, man. You helped me prepare for drum corps. You helped teach me how to actually understand the snare drum. Ishman, you taught me the basics, but here you took the wrench and everything, and you like tightened me up, and you showed me the ropes. So I'm very thankful, Yuri, that you took that time to really define me. I'm really thankful, Ishman, that you took the time to support me and give me those beginning lessons and help be like a father figure to me all these years.
The drum daddy.
Yeah.
Jump on the side.
And Megan, I really appreciate having your personality around. You always make me laugh. You always make me just happier to be where I'm at. If I'm struggling, if I was ever struggling these past 4 years, you would say some random joke and I would be laughing for the rest of the night. You're the good cop.
I think one of the best
situation.
moments is whenever
You got the bad cops over there, and you're there to soften it up.
I think one of the best things that happened, and it was this season with you, is I just did something. I don't remember what I did, but it was really weird. And I looked around, no one else saw me. I look up, and you just waved to me. You know, dying of laughing over the top, and I was like, "Oh, great!"
I'm super thankful for you guys for turning me into who I am. I feel like, and ever since I've had this thing, I feel like I have to like rip it in half and give half to you guys. I feel like you guys have earned this just as much as I have. And then I want to give my last thank you to all of you guys here, because again, you've all inspired me so much. For example, watching Anthony just catch on and keep up this season. Watching all the North kids come in like no idea what they were doing, and by the end of it, you guys were just awesome.
Rocking it out.
And you know, for the North kids, it was really inspiring to me to see you guys show up and just take to it like nothing.
Assimilate into the group so well.
All the freshmen here, man. I've never met a group of cooler freshmen than you guys.
Except us.
Yeah, of course.
I think, Mark, you have the funniest sense of humor ever. Oh my god. You don't talk, but when you say something, it just leaves everybody laughing. I think your section leader gave you some of that there. Chris, man, I'm glad that you were in it this winter season. I had a lot of fun watching you just figure out how to play the flub drum and just enjoying it. I'm glad you decided to be in it. Brad, man, you're like my hero, dude. From everything that you've faced, not even knowing how to play drums at the beginning of the season, you've improved so much, dude. It's so inspiring to me, and I'm so glad I got to not only know you, but be friends with you, man.
I chose auxiliary because I figured it took the least skill.
To be honest, whenever they first said you were playing flub, I was like, "Oh, great!" I was too. Man, you did.
So really, thank you to everybody here, and all the parents, the instructors, everybody up here, everybody down there. Like I said, I was in a really, really bad place before this activity, and because of everybody here, I stopped what I was kind of doing, and I became this totally different person. I gained my personal confidence, and now I'm looking at going to college. I'm going to go to the community college, but I'm looking at hopefully improving from Blue Devils B. I'm looking at getting a good degree in a college one day. I'm looking at getting a good job hopefully one day, teaching at some high schools maybe. And I'm looking at a much, much brighter future because everybody here took the time to get to know me and be my friends. So, thank you.
I think he's got rain. All right, we got another group. Yeah, that'd be you. Okay, why don't you guys sit down and let the instructors go?
54 minutes on this, I can't hold it.